وَمَنْ يَبْتَغِي غَيْرَ الْإِسْلَامِ. Once again Islam. Whoever would pursue. Bagha yabghi was before. Then it's ibtagha, yabtaghi, ibtigha. To be in serious pursuit. To go, we make an effort to pursue something. So whoever would pursue seriously other than Islam, any way of judgments, any way of dealing, any way of life, any religion, فَلَنْ يُقْبَلَ مِنْهُ. It will not be accepted from him. It's like Allah is reiterating. Maybe you didn't hear me the first time. إِنَّ الدِّينَ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ الْإِسْلَامِ وَمَنْ يَبْتَغِي غَيْرَ الْإِسْلَامِ دِينًا فَلَنْ يُقْبَلَ مِنْهُ. The religion acceptable to Allah is Islam. Whoever chooses other than Islam, pursues other than Islam, it won't be accepted from him. Try saying that at the interfaith meeting. See how that works out for you. هُوَ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ. I'm going to have a scriptural reading. I'm going to have scriptural readings. So just open up Aal-e-Imran and say, وَمَنْ يَبْتَغِي غَيْرَ الْإِسْلَامِ دِينًا فَلَنْ يُقْبَلَ مِنْهُ وَهُوَ فِي الْآخِرَةِ لَمِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ. Would you like to translate? Here's the translation. Read that, please. Yeah. It's our message. It's pretty hardcore, yeah. Whoever pursues other than Islam as a deen, it won't be accepted from him. And he will be in the akhirah among the losers. Look, in the world we can cooperate. In dunya we can cooperate with the Christian community, the Jewish community, the Hindu community. We can cooperate with them on good things. Humanitarian causes, it's fine. It's no problem. On getting guns off the streets, helping the homeless, getting drug dealers, rehab, all that, we can work with them. No problem at all. When it comes to the akhirah, we absolutely disagree. And we're going to say, hey, you guys are great people, and we're going to continue to try to invite you to Islam. You can keep inviting us too if you like. That's fine. And we will cooperate in good things. We will. But that doesn't mean that we won't be sincere to what we believe. And if we're genuinely concerned about humanity, then we will find a way to try and invite them to the deen. And we're not trying to proselytize or convert people, but the truth has to be shared. We can't genuinely be friends with members of a religious community and never bring up the deen. That's kind of, I don't know how I'm supposed to stand in front of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and tell him, yeah, I was teaching them about Islam through my actions. Yes, true, we teach Islam through our actions. But if you're already engaged in good action with them, then they say, hey, they're just like us. We do good things, they do good things, what's the difference? And it's almost as though you're saying there is no difference. Yes, there is. Let's sit and talk sometime. It doesn't have to be a debate. It could be over coffee. You can go to Starbucks, it's okay. Go to Dunkin' Donuts. You know what, Starbucks, you might have an ethical problem. Go to Dunkin' Donuts, Go to the kosher restaurant, sit down, have a chit-chat. It's okay. You can have a healthy conversation. It doesn't have to be a debate. It's an invitation. It's supposed to be friendly in nature. We forget that stuff. We've gotten so weird around non-Muslims. Almost afraid of talking to them. Like and we think every time we're going to talk to them, it's going to be like the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ. Like they're going to say this and we'll this and then they're going to say this and Allah says this. It's not going to be like that. We can have a healthy conversation with them. We can bring up Quran, but the Quran was talking to people that were debating with the Messenger. Nobody's debating with you. We learn these lessons from them and we share these teachings with them. That's what we do. Well, and we do this in a healthy spirit, in a genuinely friendly atmosphere. And it's possible. It really is. So anyhow, كَيْفَ يَهْدِ اللَّهُ قَوْمًا. How can Allah guide a nation? كَفَرُوا بَعْدَ إِيمَانِهِمْ. They disbelieved after they had iman. وَشَهِدُوا أَنَّ الرَّسُولَ حَقٌّ. And they even testified that the messenger is true. وَجَاءَهُمُ الْبَيِّنَاتِ. And the clearest proofs had already come to them. Oh my goodness. One thing after the other, all the reasons to believe. They had iman, they testified to the truth of the messenger, and the clearest proofs came to them, and they even disbelieved even after that. This kufr may not only be quantitative, it may also be qualitative. In other words, someone who understands the deen for what it is and then walks away from it all. Understands the religion and just decides to ignore it. Or we call it burnout. Burnt out from the deen. Right? And he knows it's the truth. And he says, yeah, I used to feel iman. Having a slump right now. So I've stopped practicing the religion. How can you do that? It's not a phase. It's not a fashion statement. It's not a fad you're going through. This is your commitment with Allah. Everybody else can call it a phase. Your uncle can call, she started wearing hijab, she's going through a phase, she'll get over it. That's fine. Everybody else can dismiss it as something else. Even the prophets were told, they're just poor guys taken over by a jinn. When the jinn leaves them alone, they'll be fine. He's going through a phase, a jinn phase. That's what they said about the Prophet. So people will say that about you, that's fine. You know, there was this guy who interviewed me when I was in college. You know, was talking something about young Muslims or something. Not the group, but like just young Muslims in New York City. So he decided to interview me. He was in my psychology class. And so he asked me, you know, he's very typical. I'm not going to describe him, but anyway. So he says, you know, we go through a phase. We get tattoos when we're teens, or we join a gang, or try some drugs, try some alcohol, maybe go clubbing, experiment a little, you know, get a little crazy. And then eventually we come back to normal and we finish college and go to get a job and have a normal life. Is this what your religion is? It's like you're going through a phase right now? Like, do you think of yourself as that? Like, it's a phase, you're young right now, you're experimenting, it's a weird, wild thing, and it's like, you got to do the thing that's like taboo, so you chose Islam and became serious about it and stuff. I was like, no, it's not a phase. I'm stuck. I'm in it for the long haul. And then incidentally, I was like, let me show you something. So I had a beard at that time too. So we went to the corner chicken guy's stall, right? And that guy's got a big old beard. It's like he's going through a phase for 45 years now. So we're in the same phase, right? It's not a phase. And if it is, there's a serious problem. That's what Allah is describing. People who thought of this as a phase didn't realize what they're getting themselves into. And I said, this is not for me. This is way too much submission for what I ordered. I just wanted something that will make me feel good, not something that I'll have to, give myself up for, you know. So وَشَهِدُوا أَنَّ الرَّسُولَ حَقٌّ وَجَاءَهُمُ الْبَيِّنَاتُ وَاللَّهُ لَا يَهْدِي الْقَوْمَ الظَّالِمِينَ. And Allah does not guide the wrongdoing nation. أُولَٰئِكَ جَزَاؤُهُمْ أَنَّ عَلَيْهِمْ لَعْنَةَ اللَّهِ. Their compensation, those people, their compensation is that they will exclusively have Allah's curse. And the angels, وَالْمَلَائِكَةِ وَالنَّاسِ أَجْمَعِينَ, and the people all together on Judgment Day. Why? You had the greatest gift possible in this world, in this life, guidance itself in your hands, and you squandered it. And you chose something as vile and disgusting as kufr instead. Why shouldn't you get the curse of Allah and the people and all of humanity? وَالنَّاسِ أَجْمَعِينَ خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا, and they will remain in that curse. لَا يُخَفَّفُ عَنْهُمُ الْعَذَابُ. The punishment will not be lightened from them even a little bit. خَفَّفَ يُخَفِّفُ تَخْفِيفٌ فَهُوَ مُخَفِّفٌ. خُفِّفَ يُخَفَّفُ. It's to be lightened. It's the passive version. It won't be lightened from them. Nor will they be waited for or even looked at. Yunzarun could be, they will be looked at. It can also be they won't even be waited for. Nobody will give them a couple minutes. The torture begins and they're like, can you just give me just 2 seconds? Let me catch my breath. Then you can start the beatings again. And the angel's not going to say, okay, take 2 seconds. Matter of fact, take 5. No. They'll keep going. You know what happens, and it's horrific to think about and talk about, but this does happen. You know, there are prison cells where torture happens in the world. When the prisoner is tortured to a point where he's about to die, they stop. Because then he'll die. They don't want the torture to end, so they let him pass out for a couple of minutes, maybe an hour, let him sleep, wake him up, start over again. If his heart rate or his blood pressure is going too high, they'll stop. Let him take a breath, because they want it to keep going. You don't have to worry about dying. لَا يَمُوتُ فِيهَا. But you couldn't call that life either. وَلَا يَحْيَا. لَا يَمُوتُ فِيهَا وَلَا يَحْيَا. You don't have to worry. They don't have to take a break. They'll keep torturing. لَا يُخَفَّفُ عَنْهُمُ الْعَذَابُ وَلَا هُمْ يُنظَرُونَ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ تَابُوا مِنْ بَعْدِ ذَلِكَ. This is again review of a very powerful lesson in Surah Al-Baqarah. There also this tawbah was mentioned. There was mentioned for those who don't spread the deen of Islam. Those who hide it. This one, those who taste it and let it go. And so he says, إِلَّا الَّذِينَ تَابُوا مِنْ بَعْدِ ذَلِكَ, with the exception of those who repented even after that, وَأَصْلَحُوا, and they reconciled. They fixed their behavior. They became better. They got better. In other words, they had iman, they went into kufr, they came back in iman. So you can't say, oh man, this guy just does that, he flip-flops. No. If they made sincere tawbah and they fixed themselves, it's fine. Their hope is still alive. وَأَصْلَحُوا فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. Then certainly Allah is extremely forgiving, all merciful. You know, there was a Sahabi, Ibn Tawil? Abu Tawil, right? That's the story we were listening to yesterday. What an amazing story. Comes to the Messenger and says, there's not a sin in existence that I haven't done. The Messenger goes, Aslamt? You're Muslim? You already accepted it? He goes, yeah, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. But there's not a sin I haven't done. Now, the thing is, when you leave it open like that, there's not a sin I have not done. That's a pretty tall order. Right? Incidentally, his name is Abu Tawil. Right? So, it's a pretty tall order of sins. Is there forgiveness for me? Yeah, make tawbah, there's forgiveness for you. You can be forgiven. Just like that. Your sin can't be bigger than Allah's mercy. No matter how much you messed up, Muslim or non, no matter how much you messed up, you say, oh, those non-Muslims, they can convert and get zero. Start off at zero. Me, it's too late. No, it's not too late. You can also make tawbah. It's not too late. One has to have that resolve and not lose hope in Allah's mercy. Then certainly Allah is exceedingly forgiving, extremely forgiving, always merciful. Those who disbelieved even after they came into Iman. Now there's two kinds of people. People that had faith, lost it for a while, and then came back. Then there's people who had faith, lost it, and eventually went crazy, like they hated Iman. They increased in their faith, in their disbelief. They became even more increased in terms of their disbelief. لَن تُقْبَلَ تَوْبَتُهُمْ. Their tawbah will not be accepted. In other words, on judgment day they'll try to offer tawbah. Allah says, nope, no good. You're not going to be accepted. Your tawbah is no longer accepted. وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الضَّالُّونَ. And they're the ones that are truly lost. In other words, they'll remain lost in dunya, and in the akhirah they'll say, well, I had iman for a little bit. Can that be enough for me to have tawbah? إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا وَمَاتُوا وَهُمْ كُفَّارٌ. Those who disbelieved, no doubt about it, and died while they were disbelievers, while they had lost their faith, فَلَنْ يُقْبَلَ مِنْ أَحَدِهِمْ مِلْءُ الْأَرْضِ ذَهَبًا. مَلَأَ يَمْلَأُ مِلْء, to fill something. مَلَأَ يَمْلَأُ مِلْء, to fill something. Mala, like Mala Fir'aun, the translation says the chiefs of Fir'aun, right? It said that because they filled his court. Literally from filling. They filled his court, that's why they're called Mala. Or his inner circle, the cabinet. So Allah says, those who disbelieved and died while they were disbelievers, then the entire weight of the world in terms of gold will not be accepted from them, dhahaban, from any one of them. فَلَنْ يُقْبَلَ مِنْ أَحَدِهِمْ مِلْءُ الْأَرْضِ ذَهَبًا وَلَوْ افْتَدَى بِهِ. Even if he wants to give it away as ransom, even if he had it to give. First of all, if that weight existed. Second of all, if it was in his possession, and he was even willing to give it up as ransom, he won't be able to. Are criminals able to get away in this world with big ransoms? Yeah. Big payoffs, they can get away, big penalties, they can get away. There, he's offering the world's weight, weight in treasure, in gold. No good. أُولَٰئِكَ لَهُمْ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ. And interestingly, Allah says, if they had the weight of the world in gold, what do they have on Judgment Day? Nothing. They have nothing to offer. أُولَٰئِكَ لَهُمْ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ. Those are the individuals. They are the ones that exclusively will have painful punishment. وَمَا لَهُم مِّن نَاصِرِينَ. And they're not going to have any aids whatsoever. No helpers will be there for them. You notice, inshallah ta'ala, we'll reach the end of the discussion for today from the ayat. But you notice the ayat of Aal-e-Imran are significantly tougher. The initial conversation with the people of the book, the conversation starts in Baqarah, but it's progressing. And as it's progressing, Allah Azza wa Jalla is getting tougher and tougher in His warnings to them. And just like Surah Al-Baqarah, there were two halves. The first half dedicated to the people of the book, the Jews, and the second to the Muslim Ummah. Same thing's going to happen here. The first half is going to be, we're reaching the end of that. The Juz is over, but that half isn't entirely over yet. That is going to be for the people of the book, and then there will be a transition to the Ummah itself, and then addressed directly to the Ummah. Other parallels that I want to leave you with, so they stay fresh in your mind. We have pre-battle commentary about Badr in Baqarah. We have post-battle commentary about which battle? Uhud in this surah. That surah mentioned Jews and Iman. This surah mentions Christians and Islam, which is interesting because the Jewish problem was of the heart. And the Christian problem was of submission, meaning that of accepting rulings and regulations of Allah Azza wa Jal, book itself, law itself. So the Christians needed to hear about Islam because they claimed Iman already. And the Jews need to hear about Iman, So what each side needed was mentioned in accordance, in due proportion. This surah will have a very powerful dua at the end, just like the last surah had a very powerful dua at the end. And just like that surah ended, فَانْصُرْنَا عَلَى الْقَوْمِ الْكَافِرِينَ. You recall? Aid us against the disbelieving nation. This surah will end, don't worry about the disbelievers. That surah said, aid us. This surah says, don't let their running around fool you. Relax. I'll throw them in hell. The surah says, مَتَاعٌ قَلِيلٌ ثُمَّ مَأْوَاهُمْ جَهَنَّمَ وَبِئْسَ الْمِهَادُ. It takes care of the problem. So they're beautifully correlated to one another, these two. So, and you've already seen many parallels. The passage about Ibrahim alayhi salam and the change of the qibla that was extended in the end of the first half of Surah Al-Baqarah is very similar to the ayat we've just read. Lots of parallels have already come. So inshallah ta'ala, hopefully by next session we'll have finished the second of this pair of Az-Zahrawayn, the two glowing surahs, and we'll continue our journey. Barakallahu li wa lakum fil Qur'an al-Hakim wa nafa'ni wa iyyakum bil ayati wa dhikr al-hakim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.